The iMac got a redesign, the same M1 chip and a few new accessories, but apart from looking pretty, what does this Mac actually offer? Hello everyone, my name's Mike, and here at Tech Commune we uncover all kinds of tech from Apple and tech in general. So hit that like button if you enjoy that stuff, but today I want to take a deep dive into the new 24-inch iMac that Apple has just announced, because a lot of it feels familiar and a lot of it has changed, but is it going to be any good? That's what I want to find out today. First, we need to talk about the design. It's super thin at 11.5 millimeters thick, and it has a stand that looks like the Pro XDR display stand, which is a very good thing because I think that looks awesome. Apple, just let you know, is selling the new iMac with that stand or with a VESA compatible variant, meaning that you can use your own mounts if you choose to. These will be the same price with the same options, so it's not any cheaper if you don't go for the stand. It doesn't look like the VESA mount and the stand is swappable, but obviously I'll have to take a look at it when I get one in. The stand option does give you only the tilting adjustment, by the way, so there's no height adjustment, so very similar to what we've seen over the last 9 years. If you wanted to go with the mount option, just to let you know, the iMac only weighs 9.88 pounds, which is really light, and most monitor stands will be able to handle this weight, no problem. The new iMacs get 7 new colors: blue, green, pink, silver, yellow, orange and purple. It has a white front instead of the black front that we've obviously got used to, and has a chin at the bottom with no Apple logo. I do wish that firstly they had made a space grey version with a black front glass. That would look so good and so nice, just like on the iMac Pro. I think that they gave us all the colours except for the one colour that I would have liked to have seen. The Apple logo has been moved to the back of the iMac, which some people have been complaining a little bit about, because now the reason why Apple managed to make the iMac so thin and light is the fact that they put the M1 chip inside. Gone are the power hungry and slow Intel CPUs with its large fans and large logic boards. The M1 allows the whole package to be brought down in size and only have 2 fans to keep the whole thing cool. Apple says that these will run at 10 decibels, which is barely audible, and if it's anything like the Mac Mini or M1 MacBook Pro, then believe me that this is going to be really quiet, which is great because the old iMac fans would blast them no matter what kind of task you were doing. Even moderate tasks, the fans would start to spool up. Looking at the specs, we get 3 models to choose from. The base model with the 8-core CPU and 7-core GPU, which is the cheapest one, and then we've got 2 models with the 8-core CPU and 8-core GPU, one getting 256 gigabytes of SSD storage and the other one getting 512 gigabytes. This configuration is similar to what we've seen on the M1 MacBook Air. However, because the fans are in this thing, we should actually see the CPU performance be more like a Mac Mini than obviously the MacBook Air, and the base model iMac with that 7-core GPU might be a little bit slower than the 8-core GPU, but we should see pretty much the same CPU performance as the M1 Mac Mini. In terms of upgrades, we see the same upgrades available, like up to 16 gigabytes of unified memory and up to 2 terabytes of SSD storage. So no change there, just because obviously we're using the same M1 chips as basically all the other products. The display hasn't changed much, but it's still a fantastic screen. The biggest change is the size has grown from 21.5 inches to 24 inches because they've shrunken the bezels around the edges. It's still not as thin as, let's say, monitor bezels, but it's a huge improvement to before. It's now a 4.5K display. That's a 500 nit brightness with wide P3 color support and True Tone tech. There's no mini LED tech, unfortunately, but this kind of makes sense considering that the new 12.9-inch iPad Pro with the mini LED display costs $1,099. So I don't think it would have been possible for Apple to introduce a 24-inch with all its peripherals and the M1 chip and everything like that for $12,099 with the margins that Apple wants. Lastly, the glass covers the screen and the chin, unlike the previous iMacs that we've seen where the chin was made out from an aluminum, and the new glass also has a new coating to help reduce reflectivity, which is great because I don't know if you've ever used an iMac in a bright office setting, but the screen really glares with that high gloss glass. So it's nice to see that they've introduced this new anti-reflective coating. I think it's very different to the nano texture coating that we see in the Pro XDR display, but it's still very nice to see. On the top of the display, we now get the best webcam on any Mac, making this a great office computer. This webcam is finally 1080p with a larger sensor for better low light performance. This has even got better image processing thanks to the new M1 chip, meaning that all of your important Zoom calls, and even for those MPs that I've been seeing on the news doing those non-contact press calls, they will actually look half decent rather than the potato cameras that every single politician seems to be using. The video feed itself goes through a series of steps to analyze and enhance each pixel at over 1 trillion operations per second. The advanced noise reduction algorithms and tone mapping delivers enhanced dynamic range, cleaner image, and more detail in the bright highlights and obviously the dark shadows. Paired with this is the best microphone array on any Mac. So not only will you look good, but you'll sound good too. It's actually really good to see that even though that this is sort of the base iMac, that this has the best webcam and microphone array that we've ever seen. So it makes me really excited for the new models. The speaker system is also a big step up, with Apple saying that again, this is the best speakers they have ever put into a Mac. So yes, this actually beats out the speakers apparently to the iMac Pro, which before had the crown. It's a 6-speaker system and it features 2 pairs of force cancelling woofers, with Apple claiming to create rich deep bass without unwanted vibrations. Each pair of woofers are balanced with a high performance tweeter, meaning that you will get great audio no matter what you're watching. The iMac also supposedly supports spatial audio when playing video with Dolby Atmos support, which is pretty amazing. It's very similar, I guess, to how like a soundbar creates 360 audio from just one direction, but obviously I'd like to test that out before I say it's, you know, just like spatial audio. I would like to make a quick prediction though. I bet that we'll be seeing this kind of tech coming to the Apple TV when it's paired with a couple of updated HomePods, which I think would be really cool. We also get Wi-Fi 6 with the new iMac. So Wi-Fi 6, if you don't know, is the fastest and newest Wi-Fi protocol available, with faster speeds, lower latency, better power efficiency, and better performance in places with a lot of smart devices. The keyboard is a subtle but nice redesign with matching colors and a few new features. So it takes the layout from the M1 MacBook Air keyboard by the looks of it, with the dedicated emoji, spotlight, Siri, and do not disturb mode buttons. In certain models of the iMac, you can actually now get the Magic Keyboard with Touch ID, which is pretty amazing. And the way that it works is that it's got basically like a secure enclave actually on the keyboard itself, and then obviously relays that information back to the iMac, which is really, really cool. Now, the Magic Keyboard with Touch ID is supposedly fully compatible with all M1 Macs, but if it's used with any Intel-based Macs or any Bluetooth devices, the Magic Keyboard will still function just as normal, just without the Touch ID function. Right now, the keyboard with Touch ID and the other keyboard without Touch ID is only available on the new iMac, at least initially. Now, potentially we might see them sell it separately as they did before with, let's say, the iMac Pro, but in my best guess, I don't think it will retail for $100. I think we may see a price increase of maybe around $50, so making about $149 to buy this new keyboard with Touch ID, which, to be honest, I think would actually be worth it. The new iMac can be configured with one of 3 Magic Keyboards, so starting off with the standard keyboard without the Touch ID, a standard version with Touch ID, and then you get a numeric keyboard version with Touch ID. So to go along with the color matching keyboards, the attention to color matching has also been extended to the Magic Mouse, which unfortunately still sees the same silly charging port at the bottom. I don't understand why they couldn't just change that already. And also just let you know, the trackpad has also gone through the same color change. The iMac power cord and the adapter, as well as the USB-C to Lightning cable, all gets the new colors as well to match the color iMac that you have chosen. And both the accessory cables feature a braided design, and the power cord has a matching aluminium connector. This is a magnetic connector that connects to the back of the iMac, and now the power unit is actually in the charging cable because because the iMac is so thin, it actually wouldn't have been possible to fit it inside. Also, because the iMac is so thin, adding an Ethernet port wouldn't have been possible, so they added it to the power adapter instead. Unfortunately, there is no 10 gigabit option, so this further proves to me that I think that this might not be the right option for true professionals that, let's say, want to connect to their NAS servers. But again, I'll have to get it in to really give it a go. Now, talking about ports, you get up to 4 USB-C ports, 2 of which are Thunderbolt and USB 4 compatible, and the other 2 are USB 3.0. You will also get a headphone jack in the side, so they haven't got rid of it. But the reason why it's on the side is because, again, the issue is that the iMac is too thin to fit a headphone jack into it. Let's see what you get for your money, because it's not all good news, because not each iMac is built equally. So the base model, the $1,200 model, comes with only 2 ports instead of 4 ports, both of which are Thunderbolt compatible, and there's no Ethernet in the power adapter. And also that lovely Touch ID keyboard, you don't get it with the base model. Also, to mention, you get a 7-core GPU instead of the 8-core GPU that's found on the $1,499 model and the $1,699 model. Apple is clearly targeting this for a college dorm room or as a family computer with its fun colors. Now, this is a very capable machine, don't get me wrong, because even the base model will be more than enough for most people. I say this because I use a base M1 MacBook Air on a daily basis, and this is actually a slower computer than the base iMac, which has obviously 2 fans to cool that M1. So yes, it might be missing out on a core of GPU, but the CPU is identical across all the models, and the fact that it's got proper cooling means that it's going to perform much better than my M1 MacBook Air, and that machine honestly works for me absolutely fine even when I push it. So this iMac, even if you go for the base one, let's say you've only got $12.99 to spend, you're going to be more than happy. And yes, you've only got 2 ports in it, but you know what? So does the MacBook Air, so does the MacBook Pro. So if you were looking at either one of those models, you're basically in the same situation with the base iMac. One thing that you will be missing out on is that Touch ID feature, and it's a feature that I absolutely love. But if you're going to be using it on the desk mostly, so like if you're a bit like me, where you mainly have it docked all the time, you might not be actually missing out on that feature, because you normally have to use an external keyboard and stuff like that anyway, so you're not really using Touch ID. So if you're that type of person, then the base iMac will be absolutely fine, and you're not really going to be missing out on Touch ID. I think that if you wanted the best experience of M1 and the Apple ecosystem and stuff like that, I think that the $1,499 model is the best in its line, because the fact that it comes with 4 USB-C ports, it comes with gigabit Ethernet, unfortunately no 10 gig Ethernet, it comes with obviously the Touch ID keyboard, and gives you the 8-core CPU and 8-core GPU with that beautiful 24-inch display. It's pretty much everything you need, and obviously at the highest performance with those beautiful speakers, brilliant webcam, and brilliant microphones to match. It's just a shame that we don't see any USB-A ports or even an SD card slot. So you're still going to have to live a little bit of that dongle lifestyle. I wanted to throw this in there because I saw this on Twitter, and how much better does this look than whatever Apple designed? I think that this looks so clean from the front, and I think Apple was too focused on the back of this iMac to even really finish off the front. And I think that this design that this guy came up with is so nice and looks perfect, and actually feels more like Apple than whatever Apple actually produced. Stay subscribed, as I will be getting the iMac in for review, and I will be giving you a buyer's guide to everything once I've had a little bit of time with the machine. But there we have it. As always, this is a discussion, so please comment down below on if you're interested in the iMac, and if so, are you going to be picking up straight away? Will you be waiting? And also comment down below on what you want me to test out with these new iMacs. Also, check out the links down in the description to support the channel, as that really does help me out. If you haven't already, please follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TechCarMoon. Drop me a like on this video if you've enjoyed it, and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more. But if you want to see more from me right now, you guys know what to do. There's 2 videos right over here. You're absolutely going to love it. I know you will. Click on the top or bottom one. I know you'll be fine with it. Anyway, look after yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.